The news was terrifying to those with the context to understand it. It was a small, throwaway line within a news report on the general state of the expansive conflict. The Solar Federation has announced that it is joining the embattled Chronarchs alliance after a number of unwelcome threats about neutrality payments were made by the Empire of Zire. The current war was a regional conflict over a number of issues arising from a complicated legislative structure of a border planet that then spun out into a matter of honor. Fighting had been going for some time, as both sides chose to organize battles on agreed grounds and with trained, paid warriors. The Chronarchs were losing ground, each time their defeat pushing them back, with fewer selection of grounds, fewer soldiers, and a more strained economy. Zire had a long history of raising military lineages, and there were many well-bred figures within its command structure, their resplendent accolades borne proudly. Nearly nobody really knew how humans fought. They were a small species who kept their history secret from the wider galactic races. It was assumed they would be competent based on their biology and civilian engineering, but with no reserve of honor to leverage, humanity would have a difficult time negotiating advantageous scenarios. The Oranites had uplifted humanity, and had obtained significant honor from their easy rapport with the new species and facilitation of trade and cultural exchange. Interestingly, the Oranites had only exported certain artworks and media, leading many to assume humanity had a stunted cultural experience, being closer to beasts than sentient. This couldn't be further from the truth, but talks between the Oranites and humanity had led to a mutually agreed embargo on ideologically revolutionary materials that humanity had produced. Some of these works had been studied by trusted Oranite scholars, and that was why a small meeting of Chronarchs, humans, and the facilitating Oranites was occurring. The translators were in place, and the Oranites opened proceedings. Welcome, honored Chronarchs, and our condolences for the loss of such in the recent conflict. Welcome, humans, close friends. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss a military alliance. Humanity has been subject to several threatening overtures from Zire about neutrality payments given the proximity to the current conflict. They wish to ally with your own species. The Chronarchs were dumbfounded. Humanity had no stake here, and simply paying the admittedly reasonable requests of material and labor would form the basis of the small and young species' honor among the galactic civilizations. Excuse me, humans, but why do you not simply pay? With no honor currently, joining this war, as small as you are, will simply result in many losses and your federation losing all possible influence. The Chronarchs relaxed back into their pods, awaiting a response from the humans. The humans were quiet, and a long moment passed before one reached below the table and pulled out a data slate, helpfully preset to the Chronarch language. It was slid across the table with no introduction or explanation. The art of war? Our translation must be faulty. Do you mean the beauty of victory? The verb tenses can be difficult. This is a text written a long time ago by our civilization's standard. It's a text on the philosophy and art of battle, the methods by which it is won. You correctly state we have no honor among the space races. We do not fight for honor. We never have. We fight to win. To be the last one standing. By whatever means we can utilize, to crush and destroy our foes. The short speech rocked the Chronarchs, and even the Oranites, accustomed to the censored media humanity had of its internal conflicts, were quietly impressed at the confident force with which the words were projected. The human continued. When the Oranites first met our species, they attempted to learn about us. We were welcomed and taught. We traded and exchanged cultures. When the Zire first contacted us, it was a demand of tribute and the threat of force. Humanity rejected both. Now we meet the Chronarchs and we offer our strength in the fires of war against a common foe. The air hung thick and still before the Chronarchs responded. You earn much honor by offering to ally with us against a superior force over such idealistic principles, but I fear it shall all be lost upon the battlefield. Regardless, we welcome your aid, for camaraderie in defeat is a grace. We will not lose. We regret the insult by association, but the Zire don't understand the first thing about war. We shall attack them within hours of your agreeing to this alliance. Our estimations show that the encamped army on the Korzag highlands can easily be destroyed. Yes, all 4 million of them. The Chronarchs looked at each other nervously. The human was insane. There was no way that an army could march up those highlands. The terrain was unfavorable, and the defenses of the Zire far too strong. By the time a messenger requesting battle got there, the time was agreed upon, and the Zire ready to allow you to attack. They would be fully committed to the defenses, as they always were. The Chronarchs could not allow humanity to do something so foolish. We cannot. The human cut them off. We accept your alliance. As far as we are concerned, you allied with us this day. We are going to attack the Zire in a few hours anyway. If you see the results and wish to rise with us, then we shall agree to have the documents support it. The humans rose as one and walked out of the room, leaving some highly confused Chronarchs and the Oranites. Do not be worried. One of the Oranites broke the unease. The humans understand war far better than you think. They view it differently. How do humans view war? It is to be civilized, a contest of arms for honor and graceful acquittal of the field of battle by the defeated. Humans, they say that they fight to win. They do not fight at agreed times, with agreed forces. They impose battle upon the enemy. We do not know how they will do so against the Zire of the Korzag highlands, but we suggest that you observe. The Chronarchs camped out relatively near to the highlands, powerful optical scopes watching for the marching dust of the human army. They were not even aware that humans had landed upon the planet, much less hid an army of sufficient size. It was one lookout who spotted the meteor swarm, descending lines of burning rock illuminated on atmospheric entry. An ill omen for battle. As the seconds passed, the meteor swarm was clearly not natural. There were far too many trails, all descending straight down, seemingly in formation. Optical scope power was increased significantly, and the images resolved. Cone-shaped objects with wide, blunt bottoms were glowing white-hot as they slammed through the atmosphere. Each object slammed into the rock with an explosion larger than any Chronarchs had seen. The craters the objects had made in the very middle of the Zire encampments, and it was only an hour or so until dawn, the camp quiet until it was rent by this assault. If this was how humans fought, it would take many, many of these objects to win the battle, for despite their impacts, the numbers of Zire were still immense. It was then that the objects cracked and fell open like a flower of death, explosions and flashes being followed by Zire falling all around each impact. Standing up in the middle of the crater was an armored figure, 4 meters tall, with 4 metallic legs joined onto a low-slung body, from which rose an angry-looking structure festooned with what must be weapons, metallic pipes that spat explosions faster than they could count. What few Zire were awake and ready grabbed their swords and spears, charging but could not close the quarters before being struck down by the explosions from these machines that did not even touch them. It was a sight the Chronarchs had etched into their memories. The nightscape lit up with burning fires, glinting off the dulled metal machines that stalked through the Zire encampment. Explosions from the unknown weapons striking the Zire down, as welcome and warlike as a plague, yet as ruthlessly effectively delivering death and destruction. The Oranites had known this would occur, and that had terrified them. The Chronarchs quaked at such unrepentant destruction and fearfully transmitted that they would very much like to be allies. Humanity did not fight for honor. Humanity did not fight by rules. Humanity warred for pure, cold victory through complete destruction. Now humanity marched to impose war, regardless if the Zire agreed to it or not. Hours later, the Chronarchs leaders gathered in their command tent, their scales glistening with the anxiety and anticipation of the unknown. They pored over the images and reports coming in from the highlands. The devastation was unlike anything they had ever seen. The Zire encampment, once a formidable fortress, lay in ruins. The armored figures, the humans' war machines, moved with relentless precision, their weapons cutting down the Zire warriors with ruthless efficiency. The Chronarchs' high commander, Rithgar, turned to his advisors, his voice low and measured. We must understand these humans if we are to survive. Their methods are unlike any we have encountered. We need to send scouts to observe their tactics up close. One of the advisors, a seasoned warrior named Kale, nodded. I volunteer, Commander. I will take a small team and gather intelligence. We must learn their strengths and weaknesses. Rithgar placed a clawed hand on Kale's shoulder. Be careful, Kale. The humans are unpredictable. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Our survival depends on this. Kale and his team set out under the cover of darkness, moving silently through the rugged terrain towards the human encampment. As they approached, they could hear the distant sounds of machinery and the faint murmur of human voices. They crept closer, using the natural cover of the landscape to conceal their presence. What they saw amazed them. The human camp was a hive of activity. Soldiers moved with disciplined efficiency, their movements coordinated and purposeful. The war machines, now at rest, were being serviced and refueled by teams of engineers. The humans' technology was advanced, far beyond anything the Chronarchs had ever seen. Kale observed a group of human officers gathered around a holographic display, discussing battle strategies. He strained to listen, trying to understand their language. The humans spoke with confidence and determination, their plans meticulously detailed. Kale realized that the humans not only possessed superior technology but also a deep understanding of warfare tactics. After gathering as much information as they could without risking detection, Kale and his team retreated back to the Chronarchs' camp. They reported their findings to Rithgar, who listened intently, his expression thoughtful. We must adapt, Rithgar said finally. The humans fight with a different set of rules. They use their technology and strategy to their advantage, disregarding our conventions of honor and tradition. If we are to survive and ultimately prevail, we must learn from them. The Chronarchs began to implement changes in their approach to warfare. They started training their warriors in unconventional tactics, incorporating elements of surprise and deception. They also began to develop new technologies, inspired by what they had observed in the human camp. As the days passed, the Chronarchs-human alliance grew stronger. The humans shared their knowledge and resources, and the Chronarchs, in turn, provided valuable intelligence on the Zire. Together, they launched a series of coordinated attacks, striking the Zire at their weakest points and steadily reclaiming lost ground. The Zire, once confident in their superiority, found themselves on the defensive. Their traditional strategies and honor-bound principles were no match for the ruthless efficiency and adaptability of the Allied forces. The humans' relentless assault, combined with the Chronarchs' newfound tactics, began to turn the tide of the war. In one decisive battle, the combined forces of the Chronarchs and humans launched a surprise attack on the Zire's main stronghold. The Zire, taken off guard, were unable to mount an effective defense. The battle was fierce, but the Allied forces emerged victorious. The Zire's command structure was shattered, and their morale broken. The news of the victory spread quickly, and the galaxy watched in awe as the once seemingly invincible Zire Empire crumbled. The Chronarchs-human alliance had achieved the impossible, and their triumph sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community. In the aftermath of the war, the Chronarchs and humans continued to work together, forging a strong bond of friendship and mutual respect. The Chronarchs learned to appreciate the humans' unconventional approach to warfare, and the humans, in turn, gained a deeper understanding of the galactic traditions of honor and valor. The war had changed both species forever, but it had also brought them closer together. The Chronarchs and humans knew that they would face new challenges in the future, but they were confident that, together, they could overcome anything. And as they looked to the stars, they knew that their alliance had not only secured their survival, but had also paved the way for a new era of cooperation and peace in the galaxy.